Thank you very much. Okay. All right, so basically we all know that there are so many tools since this hype of AI is, it's here. So there are so many AI tools, and I just want to focus today on one of the AI-powered tools that are going to help us with research, especially researchers, those who are early career researchers. As you see here, we have quite a lot of tools, and it becomes a bit of a problem in the research space because everything is fragmented. So things are, first of all, you're going to start with your data collection from one platform. You're going to use another platform for analysis. You will use another platform for visualization. Then Microsoft Word for writing your manuscript. References, you'll use another platform. You will be collaborating, maybe sending your work to your supervisors or just your co-authors. That's now email, and then, it goes on and on. Obviously, then it's the publication part of it. Now, the issue with this is, like I mentioned, it's been stagnant. It's been done like this, and there's nothing wrong. It's been like this for many years now. But there's nothing wrong. It's just that now, because of the times and AI, we feel it's also a good time to change this. And another thing is it's just so labor intensive and very inefficient, this current process that we conduct research in. And it's also error prone because most of it's manual. It's done manual labor, right? So people can make mistakes, especially with data entry. Then we end up with results that are not precise. And yeah, so basically it's also costly because you have to use all these platforms, and all of them, they require, some subscription, especially the data analysis ones, even the data collection. So, as I mentioned, other issues. For example, some researchers, this was published in the New England Journal of Medicine, that there's an issue with the way we do research, because basic science and clinical research articles averaged about 4 years from initiating the research idea until publishing, which is a really long time. And of this time, 75% spent contemplating on the basic idea, so that's all the conceptualization, and then performing the research and then writing the paper. So meaning 25% of the time is that's very little, and that's what is spent on deliberating on your findings and how they impact maybe public health or whatever space that you're working in. And as I mentioned, it is error prone. So the papers are published, and then you'll find that, for example, this paper, they wrote, following the publication of our article, we noticed we had not considered sampling weights of complex survey design. So apart from, the whole laboriousness of the process, it also requires some expertise, which some people do not have. So you have to consult maybe a statistician if you want your data to be nationally representative so that they can weight your data for you. And sometimes not everyone will know such things. So it leads to errors, and that's the manual process that I was talking about earlier. So what we thought, okay, maybe we can work on one platform where everything can be done, so like an end-to-end research platform. And yes, it is quite a heavy lift. So, but for now, I'll tell you where we are, and I'll tell you where we are going. But this end-to-end research platform, for example, would include, it already includes sample size calculations, and not just the normal ones that we have where you're just doing for maybe 1 or 2 arm studies, but it's for complex surveys, RCTs, case control, so for different study types which are not really available, such platforms, or even when you go on Google, you don't really find sample size calculations for 4-arm or 3-arm or more studies. Also for probability-based sampling, so you're able to conduct, like I mentioned, you can sample your data, your population on the platform, and it can be nationally representative. It's proportional to size, and it also supports simple random sampling and systematic sampling. Data collection as well, so that's basically like the main one for now, where you can collect your data for longitudinal and cross-sectional. You can offer incentives, so that's all in one platform and also translate. Now, everything on the left is currently done, it's working fine. And now what's on the right is what is being worked on, especially the analysis and writing. Because as I mentioned, we want this platform, people should be able to conduct research from the beginning until the end, until the point of submitting to a journal or just preprint. So we have the analysis and writing that it's currently in progress. We have curated a lot of data sets. So we know that South Africa doesn't really have a lot of open data sets, but we do have like your SASAs, GYTS, that's like for South Africa. So only the open ones we do have, they are cleaned, they are curated and ready for analysis. But we are only going to make them available when we have the analysis part, so that people can analyze their data on the platform and they can either choose to bring their own data or use what is available on the platform, which we have cleaned and worked on. As I mentioned, most of this, it's US data because they have like a massive amount of data, open data. And then the publishing part, that's also something that we are working on. Not that we'll be publishing, but I mentioned that you'll be able to submit to a journal through the platform or submit for preprint. That we can definitely do. And now, how is the solution? We know that AI, there's a lot of hallucination with AI, so you cannot really trust it with analysis. This is now the precise work that we need a lot of code. People should code and make sure that everything is correct. So it's algorithms that are done there. So the artificial intelligence in this solution, it's mainly used for summarization. So currently you have like a report at the end of your survey, or when you download, you can download a report and you'll get a background, you'll get like, okay, just some basic analysis, and it will have a write-up. So that write-up is what we use artificial intelligence for. But in terms of let's say there are means, you get a report with means. So the precision part of it, that is taken care of by code. So that's the people that we work with. We have epidemiologists who have done all of that hard work to make sure that the results that we get are precise and valid. Okay. And so basically our motto is we want researchers to use manual effort where we must and automation where we can, right? So as I mentioned earlier, that based on that journal where they say that we use so much time, we spend so much time on just deliberating about the research, the concept, and less time on the implications or the findings of our results. So we want more time on the deliberation on what your results really mean and how you will use them for policy making, how you can help policymakers through your results, and then less time on the data cleaning, the data entry, and all of that, because from this platform, you're able to get cleaned data. Okay. Oh, my bad. Okay, sorry about that. So basically, proposition is we want people to be able to, this first one, which is verification and vetting. So let's say I'm a student and I have a supervisor, I can add them to my work and they're able to see what I have done in real time. You have collaborators, they're able to see what you've done. So it's not a matter of, oh, I did this, and knowing very well that students can lie and maybe tell their supervisors that they've worked on this, knowing that they haven't. So they're able to collaborate on projects on that platform. Validity, as I mentioned, algorithms were used to ensure validity of results. Velocity, the end product, the end goal is for people to be able to write manuscripts as fast as possible, right? We say in an hour, and we know that that sounds very, like it's not believable, but we know that it will happen. Volume, so we want researchers to be able to write papers, many papers in a year, not just one paper here and there, or maybe depend on, let's say, for example, supervisors, because you're supervising so many students, that's the only time you can have your research productivity output increased, but you can actually write your own paper, especially for students. This will be very useful for students. Versatility, I mentioned, that we will have data, curated data, and you can also bring your own data, so you have a lot of options there to work with in terms of data. And I mentioned the visibility part, which is the publishing. Now, is this ethical? Well, people always ask about ethics and AI. Is it okay to use this platform for research? Is it ethical? Yes, it is ethical because this is the Commission of Publication Ethics, and they only say that it's okay to use AI, but you must at least mention that you used AI. So that's just it in terms of the ethics part of it. People are always concerned about this. And in terms of data protection, it's also a big one. So we've done our best to be compliant. We have an information officer who tries, they work on, in terms of the compliance of all the standards, right? And we have encryption. The only thing, obviously, if you're collaborating and you share your passwords with people, or you tell they're maybe careless with their own passwords, then obviously that will also add some gaps in terms of protection, but otherwise, it's our duty and it's also the duty of those who are using the platform to help with data protection. Now, features I mentioned in terms of sampling, you're able to get like a table. So this is currently from the platform itself. So you're able to, I mentioned representative sampling. You can say you want South Africa, but in terms of the numbers, it will give you the numbers and it will show you exactly where to go if you want the whole of South Africa for your research, depending on the number that you get from the platform. And also, I mentioned reports, so you can get a methodology report, you can get a code book. So I mentioned, so basically this is after you collect data like you would on SurveyMonkey. But as soon as you're done, you get a report in real time. As soon as people start to respond, you get a report. And it will give you this methodology, the code book, because now you'll have the codes, numbers, and you would need to know what 2 is and what 1 is. And also, you still get a raw data set, but this is now by choice if you want a cleaned data set. Analysis, and yeah. I mentioned sample size calculations. You get for cross-sectional study, comparative study with 2 arms, 3+ arms, cluster randomized trials, equivalency trials. So it's quite a lot that is covered at the moment. And then data cleaning I mentioned, weighting as well. People no longer need to consult a statistician if they want their data to be representative. So they can just do that here. If you have like data from census, all you need is those numbers so that you know the numbers that you should input in order to get a representative sample, and you're able to easily do that on the platform. Recently, we've added the AI AI toolkit, which is it has what I like is the AI proposal. So for students, like recently I just met someone in a flight and we had a conversation and they were like, oh, I got funding and I don't even know where to start. Funding for my PhD and I don't know where to start. I know the topic, but I don't know where to start. And I was like, okay, maybe you can try this proposal builder. And they did, and they were very happy. It's not a perfect thing. Obviously, you have to edit, but For example, on ChatGPT, if you get references, they are not accurate. You have to go and look for references. But here, we use PubMed, we use Google Google Scholar. So the references are real. You can obviously verify. You have to always verify anything that comes from AI-powered solution. So, but yeah, so far, that's that. I'm told I don't have much time anymore. But as I mentioned, we are halfway, and we are now just after October 2024. And next year, we're releasing the full platform where people will be able to write their manuscripts. No need for Excel or whatever. We have table-to-text features, so everything can be done on the platform by that time. Analysis, and okay. We already have study designs, and then July 2025, and that's when, obviously, they'll be testing in between January and July. So hopefully by end of July, we would have a perfect platform. If anyone wants to just see what this platform is like, they are welcome to do so. I'll ask my brother to share this, and yeah. It will say, welcome to university, don't mind that. That's just to add you to the free platform. It's not, it's a paid thing, obviously, but this is now a free, a link that you can access the platform for free. So that's just about it. If I still have 2 seconds, I'll just say, so far we understand what we feel we've solved is studies are now powered. You know, clinical trials, you must have a good study sample size so it can be powered enough to give you meaningful results. Sampling, study designs, you can do different study designs. Questionnaire import, always difficult to import your questionnaire into a platform. So this one, we've made it very easy. If you already have your questionnaire, you can import it seamlessly and you'll get the questionnaire formatted well. We clean data. You can conduct your surveys hybrid, so that's online and offline, and merge the data. Translation, reports I mentioned. Yeah, basically. So AI can be used in a good way to help, especially researchers in under-resourced places where we would have to have like a lot of education, a lot of money to be able to use all the tools that I mentioned here. But if we have one tool that can be used for all these things and be able to price it well enough to ensure that people are able to afford it, we can have researchers being able to publish their findings more efficiently and easily. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, and we have a small token for you.
Thank you so much.
We'll take, guys, just note your questions. We will take the questions at the end.